So we have to navigate that. And I think there's a group doing a wonderful job trying to drive to Congress to get something passed in the SCORE Act that could be very helpful to a lot of schools, to all schools. If that doesn't work, I think we need to turn our attention to some type of collective bargaining agreement. We have to be creative in how we come up with that, given the difference in all the state laws and everything else involved.
We're going to get to football, and maybe we're going to get to football through that, because I do believe it's collective bargaining. Because I'm not sure an antitrust exemption will stop lawsuits. I think they'll still show up, but collective bargaining obviously will. Not to mention, and I had this argument with somebody else, that it would give the schools a lot more certainty of, all right, these are the rules. Because without it, we think we have rules, but it's still going to be all sorts of craziness. What's the best part of having Bill Belichick as your football coach? We'll ask that question of Bubba Cunningham next.
Talking sports, so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and here we go. August 26th, FanDuel Futures Day. Should be a holiday, and maybe it is for some people. It is for me. For football fans, it's also a holiday because it's 24 hours of deals on all your football season predictions. Take a flyer on that MVP, Bryce Young, plus 10,000. If you think the Panthers are going to be good, why not? How about who wins the Super Bowl? You know, the Chiefs are the 4th choice. That's right, the 4th choice. Broncos at plus 2,400 might be interesting. Anything you want, you've got it at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and a great app. Visit the FanDuel app today. Plan your futures bets now. There will be prizes. FanDuel, play your game. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. We're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Healthy People, Healthy Carolinas, a powerful initiative from the Duke Endowment that supports community-based coalitions working together to improve health. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, Jordan Fry of Healthy Together Cleveland tells us how HPHC is making a difference in her county.
It means everybody's at the table. Healthcare providers like Atrium Health, the county's health department, our food pantries, our school systems, colleges, cooperative extension, farmers markets, but most importantly, our residents. Everybody has a role to play, and Healthy Together Cleveland acts as the connector.
Learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Did you know? Atlantic hurricane season runs through November. From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
A little over 20 years ago when I came in to get clean and sober, and coming in I was super nervous, didn't know what to expect, and I came in and I was learning things that I had never took the time to learn. My growth and development stopped the moment that I started using drugs and alcohol. So I encourage anybody, you're unique and your recovery will be unique, but there is a program and a place that could help you.
Visit ncdhhs.gov/crisis services.
Adventure affordably with a membership to the North Carolina Zoo and Botanical Gardens open year-round. Your membership purchase helps save wildlife in wild places, plus activates valuable perks such as guided tour and gift shop discounts and access to member-only events and picnic areas. Best of all, your North Carolina Zoo membership is recognized by over 150 zoos and aquariums nationwide, so you can take your savings on the road. Learn more about this unique investment at nczoo.org.
North Carolina ranks second in the nation in potential agricultural land lost by the year 2040. The NC Forever Farms program supports the preservation of family farms through permanent agricultural conservation easements and has received a record number of applications for 3 straight years. Landowners interested in preserving their working farm through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services can learn more by visiting ncadfp.org.
Welcome back to the Best of the Adam Gold Show, part 2 of our conversation with Bubba Cunningham, and we start with his new football coach. Bubba Cunningham is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Let's talk a little bit about the new era of UNC football here. So, your overall thoughts, how cool it is every day to know that Bill Belichick's parking in a similar parking area. I don't know where you guys park, where he parks, and does he have special, like 2 spots for one? Did you get moved somewhere because of his parking spot? How cool is it to have Bill, running the football program? What have you seen around, whether it's Chapel Hill or whatever, about having him be the head coach?
Oh, it's great. And I have a bike now. I ride to work on a bike now because I don't have a parking spot.
You're already retired.
No, it's been great. I mean, Bill is absolutely fantastic. The students have really enjoyed working with him. He's totally dialed into their success, and he's been great. He's totally reshaped the feel and the culture in the football program. It fits his personality and style, and so I think that's one of the coolest thing about all of our coaches. They do have their own culture within their team, but you're right. Thinking every day we've got an 8-time Super Bowl champion coach coaching these young people. And trying to develop them personally as well as on the field. It's really, really fun to be a part of.
I mean, he's the greatest football coach probably ever. I mean, there's the shortest possible list. He's on it, whether it's Bill Walsh or Vince Lombardi. If we could throw Nick Saban in there, if we wanted, just call it football as opposed to pro football. Yeah. How has that played, just to refer it, kind of bring it back to the revenue? Has that helped in the revenue generating area?
It's helped a lot. As you know, we increased the football ticket prices immediately, and then we
and you're sold out.
Then we sold out season tickets. Now we've sold out the individual game tickets. With the new success initiatives in the ACC, our television audiences should be up significantly. The donor interest and the excellence fund that the Rams Club now has shot up. So we have more than paid for our initial investment, and now we have to ensure that we have an ongoing growth in revenue that will continue to cover this investment, which that additional revenue helps subsidize the other sports that we had talked about previously.
So by next year, he's got to be in the college football playoff, or he's on the hot seat, right?
Exactly. Is that, Damon, Aaron, I mean, those coaches got it done immediately. The patience level around here is pretty short.
Oh, well, I appreciate you indulging me responding with a joke. Bubba Cunningham is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. So you've got a pretty good non-conference football schedule. Maybe this is a question for Bill Belichick, but I don't foresee him just popping on, an Airlink and talking to me anytime soon. You guys, I mean, the non-conference schedule is not easy. TCU in the opener, the trip to Central Florida is not going to be easy in year one, the total changeover on the roster. So would it help, and this is maybe a question for Bill, but I'm going to ask you because you love college sports, would it help if college football had a preseason game?
Oh, I think it'd be great. Bill talked about it, or maybe January when he first got here. We talked about trying to do a scrimmage with somebody else. And we ran it up the flagpole, but we couldn't get the rule change, couldn't get an exception. So having some either scrimmages, exhibitions, something, I do think it would help. It's interesting because I was talking to one of our field hockey players the other day, one of the volleyball players, and I said, when do you start? And he said, well, we got this exhibition game this week, and then we start for real the following week. I'm like, every sport we have except football has an exhibition game. So I do think it's probably something that will happen as we go forward. the NCAA structure is changing. It's going to be more sports specific. I'll be very surprised if that doesn't happen within the next couple of years.
And isn't that something that could be really good? You can play your exhibition game as an FCS opponent, maybe in state, still give them money to come to your stadium and play a game, since it will be a game. It just will not count towards the schedule, and then maybe we can get a little bit closer to having balanced non-conference schedules, because they're changing the strength of schedule initiative as it pertains to the college football playoff, which I laugh at because I'm not even sure that strength of schedule has ever really mattered in college football. This is not throwing shade on Indiana or Penn State this year, but they didn't even try outside of the league. The ACC, as a rule, the ACC tries, which I've argued is to its detriment. The other leagues don't really try that much.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that would help. I do think playing some other people would be good for the sport. We do that in basketball with the two exhibitions. We're trying to play one that's a really difficult game on the road typically, which, last year we were in Memphis, this year BYU, hosting an exhibition game here locally. I think it would be good for football. I do think it would probably improve your non-conference schedule as well. I do think, as I said, it's going to be more sports specific. And I think with the NCAA changing the way they operate, they will have rules that are really better for that sport from start to finish, as opposed to, hey, this is a good rule for the vast majority, so let's go with that. And so I think we'll see those changes.
I'm going to ask you one more serious question, maybe a joke, and then we'll let you go. Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director at North Carolina until, I guess, close of business end of June of next year. Look, everything that we do in college sports is tailored towards football. Football is driving it. It's 80% of the revenue, maybe more. That number's probably higher now than it was before. I have envisioned football separating itself from the other sports, doing its own thing, and then maybe allowing the other sports to kind of revert back to where it was, a little bit more sanity. So maybe the ACC can play a true round robin in basketball. Without going that far, do you have in your mind what you think it will all look like 5 years from now, which is probably the tipping point?
No, but I'm trying to give that a lot of thought. I do think that the industry needs some very concrete thought about what should it look like 5 years from now? What would a compensation model look like, different than a scholarship model that we have today, plus NIL or rev share? And then work backwards from that and work with Congress, work with conferences, work with the NCAA and say, we think this is a better way to conduct intercollegiate athletics on a national basis. I think you need to work with the NCAA, the CFP, the conferences, and say, how are we going to do this? Because right now, what we're doing isn't sustainable. So what does it look like? I think there's three fundamental things that you have to consider. Last time I had four, now I'm down to three. I think it has to be legally defensible.
Right.
I think it has to be financially sustainable, and it has to be anchored in education. And then you figure out, okay, if those three principles are the ones you have to build this thing on, then start to build it and say, okay, what's it look like? Can some of our sports look different than the other ones? Can some of those kids be paid? If they are, is there NLRB protection? Is there collective bargaining? Is there litigation protection? How do you do that? And then how do you make sure it's consistent across all 50 states? So I'd really like to spend some time on that the next couple of years.
I'm telling you, with all the money that football could make, it probably would be best for everybody if football just did its own thing and then allowed everybody else to go back. It might save a lot of money in a lot of other areas, which maybe would let football keep more of the money because they need more money. All right, what are you doing July 1, 2026?
I don't know. I have no idea. But
are you going to sleep in?
I haven't seen you in a while. What's going on with the thing here? We have a rotator cuff or what's going on?
Yeah, I had a run in with a horse. So it happens.
How's the horse?
The horse is wait a second. The horse is fine. The horse won. I came out on the short end of that. But yeah, everything should be good. It could have been worse, but I'm glad I should be good to go. I'll be ready for training camp, is what I keep telling everybody. So
very good. Very good.
Thank you very much for your time, sir. I'll talk to you. I'll see you soon, hopefully.
I hope so. Great to see you. Thank you.
Take care. Bubba Cunningham on the Adam Gold Show, the athletic director, soon to be advisor. I think he said advisor. Next hour, college football continues. Danny Canel, a star at Florida State, joins us next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Get ready.
Concepcion touchdown, 13 yards. NC State leads North Carolina with 8:01 to play.
College football kicks off August 23rd.
Jones a first down and more. 10-5. They've tied the game. Bully ball by the Duke offense. Down the far sideline. Caught at the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Carolina.
On 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Looking for a big new game to play? Well, there's no game bigger than the new dino-sized Jurassic Park scratch-off from the North Carolina Education Lottery, which gives you a chance to win up to $200,000 instantly. And if that weren't enough, you can enter for a chance to win an exciting trip to beautiful Hawaii, where you could win up to $1 million. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Adventure awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 4.28. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated the kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 five-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166171 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
It's bow time. Something new just dropped at Bojangles. Take the bold taste of a crispy golden chicken supreme that's been seasoned to perfection, then add dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, and a toasted bun that's great on the go. What do you get? You get a Bo's Bird Dog. In fact, you can grab 2 of them for $5. So when you're on the go, headed to practice, or need a snack, grab a Bo's Bird Dog. Hurry in before they're gone. Available for a limited time. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time, but sometimes it's go time. No time to stop, but the perfect time for a Bojangles Bird Dog. A seasoned to perfection Bojangles Chicken Supremes, dill pickles, and Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, all tucked inside a toasted bun. Great on the go. Try 2 bird dogs for just $5 or 2 bird dog combo for just $8.25. Available for limited time only. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
If you see a student being bullied, be supportive. Ask if they're okay and invite them to join you. You'll be an ally and you can make a friend. Friendship! Visit StopBullyingSpeakUp.com and join Cartoon Network to redraw your world without bullying.
JTV Jewelry Television knows you love to sparkle, so now's your time to shine like the star you are. Enter JTV's Shine Like a Star sweepstakes for your chance to win $5,000 in dazzling jewelry from top brands, including Rachel Zoe Jewelry and Judith Ripka Jewelry. Plus, just for entering, get $30 off your next qualifying JTV purchase of $99 or more when you opt in for emails. Enter now at JTV.com/likeastar. And remember, if you love jewelry, you'll love JTV.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Getting hurt in a car wreck comes with all kinds of stress and frustration. But when you call me, I'll be on top of all of it. So all you need to worry about is getting better. If you've been injured in a car wreck, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports leader.
It is a Best of the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold, celebrating the last birthday I will ever celebrate. But you don't need to hear that. What you need to hear is all about college football. Cover 3 podcast quarterback, if you will, Danny Canel, former Florida State star, on the game. Let's enjoy. Yesterday we talked to Chip Patterson. We talk to Chip every Wednesday. He is the moderator. I call him the moderator of the Cover 3 podcast. It is, for me, I mean, my relationship with Chip might be the reason for this, but it's also the very best college football podcast. And don't you know we have another cast member, Danny Canel, former Florida State superstar quarterback, joins us on the Adam Gold Show. Man, it's good to talk to you. How are you?
You too, Adam. What's going on, man? Hope you've had a fantastic summer. Thank you for the praise of the Cover 3 pod. We have a blast on there.
Yeah,
we pride ourselves on being one of the best out there too. So thank you for saying that.
No,
man.
you guys are great.
Good to catch up. Thank you.
And you are one who is willing and able to carry we'll call it a flag for the Atlantic Coast Conference. All right, where is the ACC now? How big a deal is it that it looks like Clemson, with a lot of pressure on them, I think more pressure on them than there is on any team in the country. But if they come through and really contend all year, does the ACC's reputation get a lift?
I hope so. To be clear, I will carry the flag for the ACC, but I will not be an ACC shill.
Right.
Like there are some people out there that, that the SEC is king no matter what. You will never hear them breathe a word of negativity about the SEC. I usually call it like I see it, and I do think it's a critical year for the ACC. I'm a little bit worried about some of the teams and getting – 2 teams into the college football playoff like they did last year. I'm a little bit worried they could be a one big league, but I do think there's some teams and some programs that need to step up, and one of them, probably more so than others, is Clemson. Like, this is a team that was 0-3 against the SEC last year, right? They got smoked against Georgia. They lost to South Carolina at home, and they lost to Texas. Now, they beat SMU, and they got in, which allowed the ACC to get those 2 teams in the playoff. But I do like this squad, and I find myself rooting for Dabo Swinney because I like his philosophy. He's taken a lot of heat and criticism for not going to the portal and just loading up on talent, which they probably could. Now he's loosened up a little bit. They got a few guys that I think can really contribute. But I like somebody who's trying to build a culture that that preaches team over individual. So I find myself wanting that to work. But I also am recognizing they do have a roster that looks like it's ready to go against the biggest schools in the country. They've got a couple guys on the defensive line that I think are first-round talents. Cade Klubnik, I'm a big fan of their quarterback. They have one of the best receiving corps in the country. So they've got the chops to go out there and make some noise, and we're about to find out because I mentioned the 0-3 streak against the SEC. You, I'm sure, aware of the game they have against LSU in their backyard. Will be a huge opportunity for Clemson and the ACC to say, all right, our best can go against your best any day of the week.
Danny Canel is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show, Cover 3 podcast, Sirius XM at Danny Canel on Twitter. I also think it's a big year for Mario Cristobal and Miami. Now, SMU's got an easier schedule, although they're non-conference. That Baylor game for SMU is going to be a big-time challenge at the start of the season. Miami's got Notre Dame to open. If Miami does something silly, and I think if Carson Beck is healthy and reverts to the Carson Beck of 2 seasons ago, maybe Miami's got something there. Miami can win that game. How far does that go to changing the narrative?
Oh, it's big. I don't think it's as big as their game that they have, the 4th game of the season against the Florida Gators. Now, even saying that, see, this is what bothers me because last year Miami beat Florida 41-17 in Gainesville. Yep. And it becomes an afterthought. Everybody's like, oh, Florida wasn't that good. But then Florida wins a couple games at the end of the season and they gain all this hype because they beat Ole Miss and LSU at home. And everybody's like, oh, Florida must be a great team. And they're like, well, that wasn't the same team that the Hurricanes beat. So it kind of, you almost can't win in some of these arguments. But those are 2 massive opportunities for Miami to prove that that this year is going to be a little bit different than others because Miami still has not won an ACC championship, right? And it's got to be frustrating for Mario Cristobal, for Miami Hurricane fans, for the ACC commissioner, Jim Phillips, for thinking you were going to get a perennial national contender when they came into the league to somebody who hasn't been able to win the conference. It is pretty jarring even to think that that could be possible. And you mentioned some of their pieces. I am not as sold on Carson Beck. I do worry about a couple things. One, he is coming off a major elbow surgery that we see happen in baseball all the time. We haven't really seen it too many times in baseball or in football, but the reports are that he looks great. I'm a little bit worried about what I saw last year on the field, but also what I heard from some of the Georgia players. And basically what I heard was nothing backing up their quarterback when he got hurt. His teammates at Georgia were almost celebrating like, hey, now we're gonna rally around our backup quarterback. And Georgia, by the way, they can keep anybody they want to. They were willing to let Carson Beck walk out that door. There's an intangible factor that I'm just curious. Does he have the leadership that a player like Cam Moore did last year, who was very clearly the alpha, the guy that Miami players were willing to run a wall through, at least on the offense side of the ball? The defense was a sieve, so it didn't carry over to that side of the ball. But I do think Miami has spent in the portal to put a roster out there that should be competitive. My fear for them is that when you have that type of program where you hire mercenaries, you have these hired guns, and I can say this from experience, when it doesn't go well, do they really care that much after they can't win the ACC or they can't make the playoffs? And I thought that's what happened with Florida State. They lose the opener. They're kind of shell-shocked. They lose to Boston College, and the next thing you know, they're kind of all playing for the paycheck, and then you're 2-10. And I'm not saying they'll be 2-10, but if they lose to Notre Dame, which they are an underdog, if they lose to Florida, they start the season 2-2. I just wonder, does that team get off the mat? Do they rebound? Do they still fight? Because they do have they have a tricky game against Florida State, which they should win. Florida State's a big question mark, but they've got Louisville. They have a road game against SMU. I just worry about the mentality of that team if it doesn't go well. I think they're a front-running team. If I knew they were going to beat Notre Dame, I like them against Florida State, and I like them to be, right back in that ACC championship game playing against Clemson. But if they don't, I've got my concerns about them.
Let me ask you a quick question about the Florida State-Miami rivalry. And by the way, I spent a lot of we'll use an old newspaper term here. I spent a lot of column inches on this show saying, how come people are not talking about Miami versus Indiana for that? It wasn't a last at-large playoff spot, but Miami's only 2 losses last year were to Georgia Tech, in the who beat Florida State, should have beaten Georgia, and frankly, that loss, and then to a 10-win Syracuse team on the road in the season finale, and Miami was not even a discussion for a possibility for playoff. And I'm not necessarily advocating for them, but if you're going to advocate for Alabama with 3 losses, including a blowout loss at 500 Oklahoma, then we should have at least mentioned Miami in the conversation, especially with a couple of their wins. But that's last year, and we'll look ahead to this year. But let me ask you about your experience.
Trust me, I was right there with you on that argument, and people were kind of surprised. I'm a Florida State guy. Why would I make that case? I thought they got completely overlooked, and this is one thing that drives me nuts when we're supposed to talk about resumes. Your resume is supposed to be your complete body of work, but there is such a recency bias that it's just a flawed argument, because then they'll say, well, it's the best teams right now. Who is the best teams now? But if Notre Dame had lost to Northern Illinois in week 11, I don't think Notre Dame gets in the playoff. But the fact that they lost that game the second week of the season, they're able to win out.
Right.
Everyone forgets about that game. If Miami had started 1-2 against Georgia Tech and Syracuse and Wake Forest, let's say Wake Forest, there was only win, and then on the back end they started to beat teams like Louisville, they blew out Florida State, they blew out Duke, they had that 41-17 winning, and that's all you remembered, I think Miami would have had a much better case. It's just sort of a flaw of the system. But I think the lesson you learn is you can't lose 2 out of the last 3 games.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. You just can't lose 2 out of your last 3.
No doubt about it. And I'm still surprised, and we're going to see this with Penn State, although maybe a different animal than Indiana, that Indiana played nobody outside the league, had maybe the easiest conference schedule overall that we have ever seen from a Power 4 school. And it was like, oh, yeah, but they played so well against it. And I'm like, at some point, this is why I always argue that there's no mechanism in college football that really rewards a good non-conference schedule. And I'll bring up this stat. There were 10 teams in the Power 4 last year that did not play a non-conference game against a this year. There are 10 schools that will not play a Power 4 non-conference game. Six of them are from the Big Ten. Wake Forest and Ole Miss, who, by the way, Wake canceled a series with Ole Miss, are also on the list. Wake's the only ACC team. There are 11 that play 2 non-conference games against the Power 4. All 11 are from the ACC, and I keep saying, why? Why do we do this? It's at the expense. If you don't win the game, if you win the games, enough of them, that's fine. But if you don't, if you go 5-17 against that group, now you got a terrible league. Well, we got to stop scheduling all those games.
I agree. You have to. And Lincoln Riley took a bunch of heat for this, but the Big Ten coaches were actually. I mean, we just saw Kirk Cignetti in Indiana. They canceled a series with Virginia for crying out loud. Like they canceled it, and he was like, you know what? We're just trying to schedule like the SEC teams are, and he's not wrong. And their schedule once again is a joke. By the way, go look at the non-conference games that the last 2 national champions played. Ohio State's non-conference this past year was a joke. The year before that, it was Michigan. Their non-conference was a joke. I'm talking like 3 blowouts. And guess who else? Penn State this year, their first 3 games are total cakewalks. They played Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. Now, I will make the argument for the Big Ten. They'll say, well, we played 9 conference games, right? That's their counter. And they're trying to make the SEC play 9 conference games. Do you want to fix it? Here's how you fix it, Adam. I have a couple different suggestions of what I could do, but you just make it a requirement that you have to play 10 Power 4 opponents to be eligible for the playoffs. That's all you have to do. Just make it a requirement. And then we don't have to say, well, how many conference games do you play? I don't care how many you want to play against how many the ACC plays, how many the SEC. You just have to play 10 Power 4 opponents to be eligible for the playoffs. That'll fix the problem because you might have a team like an Indiana who, when they scheduled those games last year, I don't think they thought they were a playoff team. They just wanted to get back on track, which I understand. Like, you want to build some goodwill. Well, that's all well and good, but if you want to be a playoff team, you've got to do 10 Power 4 games at minimum. So then they couldn't back out of a series versus Virginia. They would be, all right, you guys are in the big boys now. You want to play in the playoffs again, you have to play those Power 4 games. The best scheduling that I could imagine is when there is not a conference commissioner, a college football commissioner, and a committee or some sort of office that dictates the schedules for everybody. Because I don't like how everybody can do their own thing and you can create rivalries and create these games that are sellable. Make it where, and this is all like a pipe dream because it's not going to happen at least in the next 5 years. But I would actually love every Power 4 conference to play 8 conference games and then have 3 non-conference games. And if you're an ACC team, you play 1 non-con versus SEC, 1 non-con versus the Big 12, 1 non-con against the Big 10, and then you could play a group of 5 or an FCS or whoever you want in that 12th game. And then guess what? When we come compare those resumes at the end of the season, we have a lot of crossover games with other conferences. We can kind of start seeing how they stacked up against each other. And the resumes, which are so different, it really is comparing apples to oranges. They become a lot more like comparing apples to apples as opposed to what we have now.
No doubt about it. I heard you say that on the Cover 3 podcast. Final thing quickly for Danny Canel, because I know you have places to be, and I appreciate your time at Danny Canel on Twitter. What are your expectations for Bill Belichick in year 1?
Oh, my goodness. I wish I knew. I wish I knew because I want it to work. I think Bill Belichick is great for college football. And when he was hired, I saw a lot of people, criticizing it. Oh, this is going to be a disaster. And I was kind of like, no, this guy can coach. He's a football coach. He can, he's got 6 rings. I mean, the guy is the best football coach we've ever seen. So I wanted it to work. And then I am worried about some of the off the field stuff. It's very concerning. And just the circus, the atmosphere that's been around them. But also I look at their roster and they've done a pretty good job in the portal, rankings wise. They have the 3rd best portal class in the ACC. So they've got a bunch of players coming. I don't know what to do with the quarterback. Gio Lopez had a pretty good year at South Alabama, but is the answer? I don't know. I tell you where I do think he has the edge. And I do think, like, in their opener against TCU, I would expect Bill Belichick to have a game plan that is going to throw off a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, I played against him. I started against him. The one question I have is, because you want to do a lot of different things, because he's a genius mind. And he always put a lot on his defensive players. How do college players handle that? They don't have all day to go to the office and study film and study schemes and get all those different schemes implemented. So that's my one concern. Like, I don't know if this is like just a 7-5 team. I almost feel like it's boom or bust. Like, it either comes together and they're a 9-10 win team, or it falls apart and it's a 4-5 team. And if you said, which way are you leaning? The off-season stuff, the stuff you're hearing, I kind of lean towards the bust this season, but I really hope I'm wrong, because I would love to see them competitive.
Danny Canel, my friend. I appreciate your time, man. We'll check in again. Go hit him straight this afternoon.
All right. Appreciate it, Adam. We'll see you.
When we come back, the ACC turns a profit because of Wes Durham, and we will talk with the voice of the conference next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. We're in the preseason, so me and my co-host, WRAL TV's Chris Lee, are back in the trenches with our podcast, Panthers Playbook. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on Panthers news as training camp rolls forward. Insight on the rookies, the fresh free agents and surprises, plus all the insider info on the upcoming season. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcasts, or watch on YouTube.
New to the area? Let me be the first to welcome you. I'm Marcy Bailey of Bailey's Fine Jewelry. We've been family-owned and part of North Carolina since 1948. We have a tradition of being voted the best jewelry store with an unparalleled selection of designer jewelry, fine diamonds, engagement rings, watches, and gifts to commemorate all your special occasions. We look forward to sharing our award-winning service and stunning jewels with you. Visit us today in-store or at baileybox.com to see why every woman wants a Bailey box.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's Bo time. Something new just dropped at Bojangles. Take the bold taste of a crispy golden chicken supreme that's been seasoned to perfection, then add dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, and a toasted bun that's great on the go. What do? You get a Bo's Bird Dog. In fact, you can grab 2 of them for $5. So when you're on the go, headed to practice, or need a snack, grab a Bo's Bird Dog. Hurry in before they're gone. Available for a limited time. It's Bo time.
There's no time like Bo time, but sometimes it's go time. No time to stop, but the perfect time for a Bojangles Bird Dog. A seasoned to perfection Bojangles Chicken Supremes, dill pickles, and Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, all tucked inside a toasted bun. Great on the go. Try 2 Bird Dogs for just $5 or 2 Bird Dog Combo for just $8.25. Available for limited time only. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's Bo time.
Hey, it's Tim here for All-Star Dog Training. We all know Ripken, the legend, right? The best trained dog in the Triangle. You see him at Bulls games. You see him at state games grabbing the tee. What you may not know is Michael from All-Star Dog Training, the man behind the dog, has won awards like the Voters' Choice Award for Best Pet Training Service 8 years in a row, PBS Emmy Award, hundreds of 5-star reviews. Michael, what else have you done to garner this attention?
We try to help every dog in the Triangle. That's our goal, and I know Ripken will want every dog to be an all-star just like him. So that's why we came out with All-Star Dog Training.
All-Star Dog Training. It's a rebrand in honor of Ripken. What services do you offer?
At our 5,000 square foot facility in Apex, we offer private lessons, day train programs, puppy classes, and even board and trains. But always remember, we'll come to you too.
And it's the same training that not only helped Ripken be such a well-trained legend, but also his full-blooded brother, Champ, who's taken over?
Champ will be there this season for the Durham Bulls.
Same All-Star team, new All-Star name. Check them out at allstardogtraining.com.
Don't find out later. Find out first with WRAL News at 4.
Breaking news right now here at 4 o'clock.
From breaking news to the forecast you need right now.
The dual Doppler 5000 radar is showing some storms.
WRAL News at 4 has you covered.
And from the WRAL Live Center, a traffic alert on I-40.
The afternoon rush starts here.
New at 4 o'clock, we've learned why there was such a large police presence.
Watch WRAL News at 4 today and every weekday. That's coverage you can count on.
Welcome back to the Best of the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Wes Durham joins us to talk all things college football and ACC. If Tony Petitti, the commissioner of the Big Ten, ever doubted whether or not his conference would get the benefit of the doubt, I will print out a picture of last year's field of 12 and shove it in his face. No team got the benefit of the doubt ever more than Indiana, who played nobody. And what were they, the 9th seed? I don't know what they were. 10th seed? Oh, we're going to talk about Tony Petitti's field of 28 in a moment. Before we get to that, very quickly, they just announced the U.S. Men's Olympic Orientation Camp for hockey. 44 players deep, 12 defensemen. There are 16 defensemen that are going to camp. Obviously, they're not keeping 16. They'll keep 7. Slavin, of course, is there. Jacob Slavin is there. Brady Shea will be at the development camp. So will former Hurricane Noah Hannafin and Brady Shea. I just want people to know that Hannafin, Pesce, and Slavin all played on the same team before Carolina was good, and Pesce, Shea, and Slavin all played in the same top 4 while Carolina was great. You want to know why? Unbelievable how good those guys have been. We'll get into more of that later on. Right now, it is time to welcome in the voice of the Atlantic Coast Conference, the reason the league turns a profit, and a sizable one at that, $45 million per school, I believe. And Florida State, Clemson, maybe North Carolina can expect the what? I'm just.
What are you doing?
You're signing those checks like Ed McMahon.
No, I've got a question for you. I thought we were all starting the season healthy, and apparently, since I have the ability to see you, I see that you're not going to be able to make the gate for day one of the race.
I was told that I'll be ready for hockey training camp. That doesn't start till the middle of September.
What in pray tell have you done?
I did not do it. It was done to me. One of the horses rear-ended me. Literally hit me with her rear end. My younger son calls her freight train. She's a little bottom heavy. Anyway, she spun left.
Why is it got to be about being bottom heavy?
I'm just pointing out that she is. She's a draft cross. She's not a sleek thoroughbred.
Neither am I.
You, sir, I just want to say this. You look fabulous.
Trying to stay in the game, my man.
You look fabulous.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I hope it was not forced upon you.
No, working on it. It's a work in progress. Thank you.
You look marvelous.
Marvelous, yeah.
All right. Tony Petitti wants 24 teams in the pool.
Yeah, sure he does. And you know what? Charlie Baker wants 96.
Why not just go to 64 and be done with it? And we can start the playoff 2 weeks before Halloween.
Let me ask you this. Do you think if we added that many teams to the college football playoff, we'd have the foresight to back the calendar up into August and we'd already be playing college football? No, we wouldn't.
We could start this weekend.
We could start everybody this weekend.
Yeah.
We should be starting everybody this weekend.
Yes, I agree.
And I don't want to hear, they go home in the summer. No, they don't. Not anymore.
Nobody goes home.
No, they don't go home and they do the summer job at the construction site. It doesn't happen anymore. Do you know why? Because they're getting paid.
Right. They go fishing with Dave Dorn.
Yeah, they go fishing with Dave Dorn. They hang out. They do whatever. But nobody goes home in the summer anymore. They're 350-day-a-year students.
Well, they're really employees, but that's fine. Yeah.
Well, not in the world you and I live in. They are employees. In the world that exists right now, no. But anyway, I know what you mean.
In this fantasy world that the administrators continue to try to live in. By the way, we have Bubba Cunningham tomorrow. Great. Some of this will come up or not, but I'll ask him about 28 because Bubba is always willing to weigh in on silliness of the day.
He is.
But here's the 28 thing. Here's what's really got me.
Okay.
And I invite you to go check it out. We had Manny Diaz on yesterday.
Okay.
And I brought it up to him because he was hinting at something like that. I said, have we gotten a little carried away here? But he seemed like he was in favor of it because it would be like, I understand what he's talking about. I disagree with it, but I understood it. But because he's talking about the games are content and they're entertainment. And I do think that when we get to, because I believe we're headed for a complete reimagining of what college football, how it's presented, to where it looks a lot more like the NFL. And I don't know how many teams will separate. It could be 60, it could be 40, it could be 80. Separate, form a super league, and only play each other. And they're only loosely tied to universities through licensing deals and marketing deals.
Right.
But if that happens, yeah, then go nuts. But those players will be employees then.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. In that, can you hear me? By the way,
absolutely.
Okay. I think 29 is going to be the start of the next line of volatility. 28, 29.
Yeah.
By then, I am hopeful that we're going to have some concrete leadership to help govern the space, of which we have none now.
Yeah.
And I give you Michigan as the latest example. But that is, and the thing that I got to be honest with you, Adam, the thing that I'm more discouraged about is nobody wants to look at the full process. They only want to look at the end game.
Right.
And the end game being the CFP or the NCAA basketball tournament. The NCAA basketball tournament situation was nothing but a chance move by the National Collegiate Athletic Association to see if they couldn't heavy up on the television rights holders to pay them more money to create revenue, right? And quite frankly, the TV rights holders are not going to go for it.
They proved that.
Right. And the other part is this too, and I'm going to dispel this rumor only because I think it's out there. The Masters does not dictate college basketball.
Okay.
But CBS has they have millions of dollars of reason to want to show the Masters, and it's proven itself every year.
Yeah.
We could play college basketball while the Masters is going on. It just wouldn't be on CBS.
Right.
And by the way, we have had a national championship game and a Final Four 3 times in the last 6 years and 4 in the last 8 on TNT and TBS, not on CBS.
Right.
Okay? So while everybody's up in their arms, oh, we can't have basketball after the Masters. Yes, you can. You just don't show it on CBS while the Masters is going on. That's fine. But we're losing. That's what I mean by the football thing, too. People say, well, we can't start the football season in mid-August. Why not?
Right. Well, one of the arguments is that it's too hot. I'm like, have you been in Georgia in October or September? It's hot. It's hot then, too.
Or Stanford in September where there's no AC in the press box.
Oh, really?
Okay. No AC in the press box. Anyway, all that being said, if we're going to do all this and take this to the next level, we've got to get beyond the box of, well, college football. Come on. It has to start late. No, it doesn't. In fact, if you're the college football game, I believe in 2029 or 2030, the National Football League is going to go to 18 games in 20 weeks. That's my opinion. Okay? I also am of the belief that every team is going to play an international game when it happens. There'll be 16 international games every year at various and sundry times in far-begotten ports of call from places we don't even know that the NFL will go play worldwide. Why? Because they can.
Yeah.
And people will watch. If we back the college football season up to where they play 2-3 weeks uncontested against the National Football League, is that a bad problem? I don't think so. I don't believe that is a bad problem for college football. In fact, I think it actually might be a hell of an idea. Look at how good next weekend is to open the college football season, coast to coast.
Yeah.
Right?
Tons of great games.
Hey, and we could do 3 weeks of that crap.
Yeah, the first 3 weeks of the season, for the most part, are where the best non-conference games are that don't involve Notre Dame because they're one giant non-conference game. But the first 3 weeks are where we have them.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it makes too much sense to back it up into August. People crave the product.
Yeah. Well,
right
5
now
million people watch the Bears and the Bills Sunday night. 5 million. That's awesome.
Right. And by the way, you know what a 5 million number is in college football? A damn good crowd.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a damn good television rating. Here's the other thing, too. The TV element of college football has also got to be adjusted. And you've heard me say this about the first round of the college football playoff against the NFL, and you're on the same page with me. Quit doing it. Right? Doesn't do any good.
No.
I was with a group of people Friday night, and we all came to the genuine consensus that if the College Football Playoff Committee does not understand how competitive the television number is in the NFL and get away from the NFL as much as possible, they're asking for trouble.
I mean, the entire sport of golf ends before the NFL starts because of it.
Correct. You know why? Because nobody was watching the Tour Championship in September.
Or at one point, it was in November.
And that was worse.
It's unbelievable.
And you can play. And by the way, guess what you do by playing the fall events behind the Tour Championship? Grow your game.
Yeah, you get a lot of players who wouldn't normally play.
Correct.
No doubt about that. So here was the other thing about the 28 teams, and then I'll move off of it, and we'll talk about the league for a second. Wes Durham is joining us here. A few more minutes with Wes.
Sorry for the rant.
No, it's fine. Like, I got to take a breath. It's not easy to, I had a rough fall. With the 2018 plan, with 7 designated spots for the SEC and the Big Ten and 5 each for the ACC and the Big 12, and 2 for the best non-Power 4 champions.
Go ahead and say it, the WAC.
For the
Wyoming.
the MAC.
Wyoming.
For Army.
Boise. Get them
right. And then 2 at large. One of them is Notre Dame. 28 teams getting in. Notre Dame is going to be in every year. So 1 at large. Do they just want to get sued? Is that the plan for Tony Petitti? You're telling me that you get 28 teams in and you can't find a spot for all of the non-Power 4 conferences? Are you joking?
Remind me real quick. We did 4 teams for how many years?
Right.
And we've done 12 for how many years? One year. I think it is. One we've done 12, yeah. And we're going to do 12 this year.
Yeah.
And then if they don't get it rigged up by December 1st, we're going to do 12 for maybe 4 more years.
Which is fine.
Right?
I had no problem with 12.
Absolutely would be fine until you fix the schedule.
Yeah.
Until we back everybody up into what? Mid-August. Why is that? Well, because I just explained why. And see what I mean? We're so busy at the end. At the end, Adam.
Yeah. Well, also, look, I pushed back on it last year because I think it proved to be true that you render your regular season less meaningful by expanding the playoff because the outcome of games doesn't necessarily matter. Case in point, Alabama beats Georgia. What was it, week 4? Week 5?
Right.
Georgia made the playoff, Alabama didn't.
Right.
It really didn't matter so much.
Ole Miss beat Georgia and didn't make it either.
There you go. So it does. We can pretend that it doesn't matter, but sheer numbers allow teams to lose twice, maybe a third time, given a set of circumstances, and still make the field. Look, I wasn't arguing that Clemson belonged in. They got in because they won the game. They won the game they had to win. And anybody could get in that game and win it. You don't have to be really good to get in that game. I remember watching an SEC championship game with a 4-loss team in the game before. They didn't win that game. I think it was Mississippi State, something like that.
It was.
But they didn't win that game, but I mean, you're playing it. You never know what could happen in a game like that. So the more teams that are in, the less relevant your regular season is, And isn't basketball kind of a cautionary tale for that? I mean, no offense to basketball, but
yeah.
I mean, the season doesn't really start till Duke, Carolina in late January.
Nationally, the season does not start, and you and I have had this conversation before. The consensus on college basketball in this country is it starts with the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that's when most people start paying close attention.
Champ week, and then the NCAA tournament. Unless
Zion Williamson is on the court, in which case 4 million people watch a Saturday afternoon game in Tallahassee.
That's right. The other part of this that I'm cautioned about basketball is basketball starts too early. Basketball needs to go into November like they used to.
Yes. Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and by the way, you could expand the tournament all you want if you started in late November because you'd play into the middle or latter part of April, which, by the way, doesn't hurt anybody because guess what? They're all going to school anyway that semester, allegedly.
Or not.
Or not. But for me, basketball can relate to the change that it needs to make moving ahead in the schedule. The old Paul Hewitt theory of basketball is a one-semester sport. Why is it two? Just make it a one-semester sport, right?
Yep.
If the academic calendar matters anymore. But the idea, I'm not sure it does. The element of football and the element of basketball, they could both learn from each other. Football backs up, basketball moves forward. I don't know how much that's dictated by other things, but for me, in this era of revenue generation, they got to look at all the possibilities, and expanding the back end of this does not answer all those questions. And it's really going to be an interesting I think from a business perspective, the next 4 or 5 years are going to be fascinating to watch out.
Oh, my gosh. I personally think that college football is leaving a lot of money on the table in not separating football from the rest of the sports.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
They could get a ton more money, especially if they were also willing to break up the playoff, as big as they wanted to make it, and share it among different networks. Like the Big Ten ain't wrong. They're everywhere.
But here's the thing, Adam. And I look, I have great respect for Tony Petitti. I don't know him at all.
But I'm just talking about how they're on CBS, NBC, and
Peacock
Fox.
And Fox,
right?
Yeah.
And various streaming services. I mean, you can find them everywhere.
Sure. Yeah, the Big Ten has done a good job of
making money,
plunging into the television pattern.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, look, there's the ESPN platforms. And then there's the Fox, CBS. Fox really doesn't have a platform other than Fox and FS1. I mean, FS2 I'm sure is there. But when you look at Fox, they've got 3 options. NBC has done a marvelous job with Peacock. CBS is on the way doing a great job with Paramount.
Yes.
For me, the element you look at if you're the Big Ten, and again, this is directed at Tony only. And again, I don't know him. I have great respect for his work in television. And so far, so good with the Big Ten, it seems like. It feels like a lot of the stuff he's basing his rhetoric on for this expansion, and that, by the way, for the 4-4 deal that was on the table earlier before we proposed everybody get a participation ribbon here, is that he's using a lot of NFL logistics to talk about it.
Right.
That doesn't fit as much as we're drawing the parallels of conferences to divisions in the NFL. That doesn't fit here. Because here's why. And the Panthers are where in week 1? I'm drawing a blank.
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. So let's take Florida State, Alabama, and the Panthers and Jaguars. So whoever loses that Florida State Alabama game, what's going to be the rhetoric on Monday morning nationally?
If it's Alabama, if they lose that game, I'm not so sure that Kalen DeBoer gets game 2.
Okay. But the rhetoric is going to be that their season is over.
Yes.
Right? Okay. The loser of the Panthers-Jaguars game on Monday is going to be what? On to week 2.
But except in Charlotte where they're nuts.
But what I'm getting at is
you're 100%
the loser of the opening week in the National Football League is treated entirely different from the loser in the week 1 in college football.
100%.
It's not even close.
Right, but that narrative should change as the playoff gets bigger.
It should, but it doesn't.
Right.
Because we saw a 2-loss team get in the playoff last year. We're probably going to see 2-loss teams get in this year. That part of this is a growing draw toward the National Football League model. What Tony's saying is, well, you get to the playoffs with 5 or 6 losses. You're not getting to this one with 5 or 6 losses if you expand it to 28, Tony. That's not happening.
No,
Coach.
but you'll get in with 4, maybe 5.
You're not getting in with 5, Adam.
4 you might.
By the
4
way,
you will. 4 you will.
Side note, if you go to this big old field of teams for a playoff,
right?
Guess what else you're going to get rid of in the process?
Conference championship games.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think only one of them makes money at it.
Just the SEC. I bet the ACC might make some money off theirs.
I'd like to know. I mean, I don't know for sure what the ACC and the Big 12 and the Big 10 do. I know the SEC makes a lot of money.
Sure. Yeah, they ain't giving that up.
I think they make $15 to $17 million is what I've been told.
Yeah, they ain't giving that up. Final thing for Wes Durham, and I appreciate your time, and you do. Video just brings out your eyes, too. I don't know. That's terrible.
The black harness brace around your shoulder looks good, though. Yeah, it's nice.
It's not comfortable.
No,
it's just not comfortable. It could be just the fact that
Neither's this big bandage I got yesterday, too.
Oh, what happened?
The skin cancer thing. Go to the I'm a frequent visitor to the dermatologist.
All right. I should be.
Yes, you should.
We're
at that age, Adam. You need to think about some of those things.
What are your expectations for Carolina?
I enjoyed watching their practice last week. Okay. I said this to some other people. I was very impressed with just the fundamental simplicity of the practice.
Right.
And I appreciate the competitive nature of which it's conducted. I think Carolina is being, here's a stunner, incredibly well coached. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be better on defense because he's never had a bad one.
Right.
I think they're going to be evolving on offense. I think Gio Lopez is fun to watch. Davion Goss could be a really good player for them. But I think the schedule's workable. So I think 7 is there. I think 8 is possible. And if they catch a flyer, 9 maybe. But I don't think they can afford some injury. Now, if injuries hit there, Adam, and I jokingly said this to some Carolina people last week after I got back from my visit, the infamous words of Chan Gailey in his first year at Georgia Tech when he lost 3 players in 2 weeks. He looked at me and said, too bad we don't have a waiver wire in this sport. I said, you're right, Coach.
Well, we're not that far from it. Eventually, there will be.
Hey, did you hear about the Northern Illinois Athletic Director, Sean Frazier, that wants a poaching fee?
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Like soccer? I don't hate that idea.
I do not hate it. Look, next time we talk, and I'll make it soon as long as you're willing, we can talk about the similarities. You are also a fan. Sorry about your hammers. I have very low expectations for West Ham.
You should.
By the way, they show the championship on either ESPN Plus, I think, or Paramount Plus, so you'll be able to follow them next season.
Dude, let me tell you this. If Wrexham gets promoted, I'm changing.
They're not. Wrexham, I think Wrexham will do well to stay up.
Yeah,
I've seen them play twice. The similarities between college sports and European soccer are striking to me.
Well, and I told you from the first time I went to a European soccer match, I went to see West Ham play Man City at Old Bowling Ground in 2014. And I have said from that day on, the English equivalent to college football is Premier League.
No question.
It is unbelievable, and every American should go see a Premier League match in that country. If you get a chance, go.
With the help of Wes Durham, we just ticked off so many people that don't want to hear me talk about soccer. Beautiful. I love it. As I do you. Appreciate your time, sir. I will talk to you very soon.
See you guys next week for the Pack and the Pirates.
Oh, big time.
Thursday night, Carter Finley Stadium.
We might have to talk next week then, Wes.
Take care, man.
Peace.
See you.
That's Wes Durham, the voice of the ACC. When we come back in the Best of the Adam Gold Show, a little unserious conversation, Mount Rushmores of state and Carolina football with Tim Peeler next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
No matter your struggle, you are not alone. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is free, private, and always available. If you feel lonely, isolated, anxious, or overwhelmed, help is here all day and night. Call, text, or chat 988 without cost, without judgment, and without waiting for an appointment. You'll get support that can make a difference. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Turning 65 soon, navigating Medicare can be overwhelming and confusing, but you're not alone. The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program can help. SHIP counselors can help you understand Medicare benefits to make your best choices. Visit ncship.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. We're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Healthy People, Healthy Carolinas, a powerful initiative from the Duke Endowment that supports community-based coalitions working together to improve health. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, Jordan Fry of Healthy Together Cleveland tells us how HPHC is making a difference in her county.
It means everybody's at the table. Healthcare providers like Atrium Health, the county's health department, our food pantries, our school systems, colleges, cooperative extension, farmers markets, but most importantly, our residents. Everybody has a role to play, and Healthy Together Cleveland acts as the connector.
Learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Did you know? Atlantic hurricane season runs through November. From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
When life feels overwhelming, knowing where to turn can make all the difference.
That's why crisis services are here for anyone at any time, no judgment.
If you or someone you love is struggling with mental health, substance use, or feeling lost,
crisis services are here for you 24/7.
Compassionate, low, or no-cost services.
Whatever your crisis, you always have options. Find the support that's right for you.
Visit ncdhhs.gov/crisis services.
Voted best zoo in the nation, North Carolina Zoo and Botanical Gardens is centrally located in the heart of North Carolina. Bring your family to Asheboro for an affordable day trip or weekend excursion to connect with nature and make cherished memories. Discover towering giraffes, pouncing sandcats, and diving seabirds at the world's largest natural habitat zoo. Roam with rhinos on Zoofari or flutter by the exotic butterfly garden during your next visit. Explore more possibilities at nczoo.org.
North Carolina ranks second in the nation in potential agricultural land lost by the year 2040. The NC Forever Farms program supports the preservation of family farms through permanent agricultural conservation easements and has received a record number of applications for 3 straight years. Landowners interested in preserving their working farm through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services can learn more by visiting ncadfp.org.
Welcome back to the Best of the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Look, I generally try to stay away from sports radio tropes, list topics. Who are your favorites? Your favorite color? Your favorite team mascot? We don't do that. But, I don't know, time and place. Mount Rushmore, NC State football, Carolina football, Tim Peeler would know. All right, sir, let's just dive into this silliness that I decided I wanted to do today just because I could. If we were doing a Mount Rushmore of NC State football, this is who I've got on it, and you can dispute it any way you like. Roman Gabriel, and I'm doing this in order. Roman Gabriel, Torrey Holt, Ted Brown, Phillip Rivers. How'd I do?
You did mostly okay.
Mostly
okay. I would have the same 4 people, to be honest with you. But I would put Ted Brown above Torrey Holt. Now, Torrey, I know you're out there listening. Don't take that as an insult. You are the greatest receiver in NC State football history, but Ted Brown is the greatest running back in the history of the ACC.
Ted Brown. He doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Oh, absolutely not. And he was even more insulted when Clemson's running back broke his alleged record for rushing in ACC history. But Ted Brown is missing 399 yards that he gained in 3 bowl games. That is not part of his career rushing record because of a dumb decision the NCAA made around 2002. Ted Brown has more rushing yards than anybody in the history of ACC football.
Here's the other element that makes what you just said even more ridiculous. Like, it would be very simple because we have records and we have box scores from those games. We could just add those in, even if it's after the fact. We can go back and say, you know what? We're just going to count those 3 games because we can. They play more games today than they did when Ted Brown was the running back at NC State. We didn't have 12-game seasons plus a bowl game, plus, in some cases, a conference championship game. So we're playing so many more games. If we cared, and I'm not sure we do, but if we cared about the accuracy of records, why wouldn't they go back and say, yeah, why don't we just add these games? Oh, and we count bowl games too. Now we should do it then.
Well, the funny thing is, it's because back then, or in the early days, it was deemed an unfair advantage because people got to play in bowl games, and not everybody gets to. Now, as we know, everybody gets to play in a bowl game. So
right.
It's just a extension of an annual statistical record.
Somebody actually had multiple people respond and say Bradley Chubb or Mario Williams over Roman Gabriel, and I did chuckle at that because I think it's an easy number 1, Roman Gabriel, first overall pick in the AFL draft, right?
Well, and the second overall pick in the NFL draft,
right?
So he was a pretty amazing guy. And look, when I base my accolades like this, especially for something. I hate Mount Rushmores, by the way. But
I do too, but it's stupid.
I agreed to speak with you. But it has to be, to me, it has to be like Teddy Roosevelt creating the national park system and the things that he did. Something is truly groundbreaking, pioneerish, doing something that has never been done before. And Roman Gabriel changed all of ACC football, a good bit of college football, because of his stature and his athleticism. And then he did the exact same thing in the NFL when he finally got his opportunity to play for George Allen with the Los Angeles Rams.
Tim Peeler is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. You put a lot of pressure on me just then. I hate this, but I will talk with you. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about something that is unrelated to these lists in a second. With North Carolina, I'm not going to say it was harder. I mean, I think it was probably harder because I think that there are fewer absolute must-haves. I think there are 3. I think when you get to number 4, I think it becomes really, really difficult to parse through number 4. I think there's really just a couple of obvious ones for State. But you have Charlie Choo-Choo Justice, Lawrence Taylor, Julius Peppers, and then I think the 4th for Carolina could be, I don't know, any one of 10, 12 players. I went Jeff Saturday. How would you have done this?
I went completely different. I covered Jeff Saturday. I was there the time that he told Mack Brown he was going to strike the 1997 Florida State game because of Nike sweat shops in Southeast Asia, and Mack sort of reacted negatively to that. But he had a great career. But if I were picking somebody, I would do it based on his Carolina career more than just or more than the overall career, and that would be Don McCauley. two-time ACC Player of the Year in 3 years of play.
Phenomenal player, also a great Baltimore Colt. All right, real quick. Jeff Saturday threatened to strike in a college football game based on sweatshops in Southeast Asia.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You go back and look it up. It was one of the great moments in ACC history, and it was quickly and quietly quelled.
I mean, that is like super, like international human rights awareness from a 19-year-old.
Exactly. I mean, and Saturday always spoke his mind, which I appreciated.
That is really phenomenal. And of course, he was head coach of the Indianapolis Colts to his own detriment. Maybe that did not work out very well. Tim Peeler, you are awesome. At Pack Tim Peeler on Twitter. We'll talk again very soon, my friend.
Sounds great. I appreciate it, Adam. Good luck.
You got it. Thanks to Tim. When we come back, Manny Diaz, Duke head football coach, on a lot of things on this Best of the Adam Gold Show.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and here we go. August 26th, FanDuel Futures Day. Should be a holiday, and maybe it is for some people. It is for me. For football fans, it's also a holiday because it's 24 hours of deals on all your football season predictions. Take a flyer on that MVP, Bryce Young, plus 10,000. If you think the Panthers are going to be good, why not? How about who wins the Super Bowl? You know, the Chiefs are the fourth choice. That's right, the fourth choice. Broncos at plus 2,400 might be interesting. Anything you want, you've got it at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and a great app. Visit the FanDuel app today. Plan your futures bets now. There will be prizes. FanDuel, play your game. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.com.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
We are knocking on the door of the regular season for the Carolina Panthers, and there are still so many questions on the defensive depth chart. The depth, the second unit. What happens if someone gets hurt? For the Carolina Panthers defense is the type of question where the answers are harrowing. You don't want to see them. It's like the end of a horror movie. Just roll credits.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, what do you say? John Forsland here for my friends at Buffalo Brothers. I live and work on both coasts, travel the country. Here's the deal. There's nothing like Buffalo Brothers. The best wings on the planet and a great place to watch all the big games. Visit all 5 Triangle locations for great specials, including half-price pizzas Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6, and a $6 Bloody Mary on Sunday. Dine in, carry out, get it delivered. BuffBrothers.com. Aw, man, now I want wings.
Struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated the kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166171 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Don't find out later. Find out first with WRAL News at 4.
Breaking news right now here at 4 o'clock.
From breaking news to the forecast you need right now.
The dual Doppler 5000 radar is showing some storms.
Watch WRAL News at 4 today and every weekday.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bed
bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Turn things all the way up and find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
Get in the hole! That's ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Hey, it's Adam Gold on this Best of the Adam Gold Show. We start this hour with Duke head football coach Manny Diaz. They have quite a program over there. We're going to talk to Duke head football coach Manny Diaz right now, who joins us. I thank you very much for your time. You don't realize this. We saw each other, even though we didn't get a chance to speak with you at ACC football kickoff, because I saw you on a very humid morning run on, I guess it was the Thursday, the only day we were down there. I guess same for you. And I swear it was like 30 minutes before I saw you in the lobby and you looked like you hadn't been for a morning run. So do you have a twin that we don't know about?
No, it was a quick turnaround. I don't think I think I was still sweating for the first half hour of media days, but because you're right, it was a little muggy that morning.
My gosh, it was next level. Manny Diaz is joining us here. All right, so I'm curious about your take on, and I know you don't care ultimately, but there are probably some people that do. You guys were 9-4 last year. Could have been better. I mean, we go back, probably should have beaten SMU if we're thinking about it. And you return a ton of players from that team. You bring in a quarterback who is, I think, sort of a known commodity because Darian Mensah was really good last year at Tulane. Offensive, defensive players who are in place to future pros in your secondary. And there was very little respect, although maybe the ACC media, for your team going into the season. Does it bother you at all? Does it bother any of your players at all?
I hope it doesn't bother our players. It for sure doesn't bother me. We are certainly not trying to collect. We're not worried about respect because ultimately that's outside of our control.
Mm-hmm.
We're just worried about collecting wins. And sooner or later, if you win enough games and people start saying nice things about you and ranking you and doing all that, and then you got to deal with that, right? Then you got to deal with the when people start praising you and understanding that and plus criticism is they're really the same poison. So. I think we have a mature football team, as you mentioned, and I think I'm more concerned, to be honest, about their hearts and minds and what they believe. And what excites me is that they believe that we can be really good, and they have been intentional in how they've worked through training camp, as if that is their true belief.
Manny Diaz is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show, Duke head football coach. I noted you used the term poison. That's very Nick Saban of you. Called it rat poison. I am curious about the mindset of not you, but your team. Maybe in some ways you'd rather be like 8-0 and still not be ranked because you could use that as fuel. Does that play into it at all?
I'll take 8-0 and make whatever fuel I have to out of that. Look, what we have talked about is we have internally we have really high expectations. There are high expectations from individuals here who have gotten a lot of preseason accolades and have high aspirations for what's next in their football career. And we have high aspirations for us as a team. But what we have done is we said, let's take those expectations and let's put those aside and let's talk about our standards. Because ultimately, if we have the right standards and we play to our standards, generally, whatever our goal or expectation is, we'll be pretty darn close to that at the end of the year. And that also will survive a bad drive, a bad quarter, a bad half, something where you get short-term negative feedback and suddenly you think that you're not going to make your goal. You've got to have something to double down on. And for us, that's our standard. So we've talked a lot about that. The guys have shared with each other, their standards and what they're going to use. And I think that's going to be an important thing as we navigate what's going to be a highly, highly competitive ACC this year.
I don't think there's any question about it. I think I know Clemson looks like they have all these returning guys and future NFL stars. But after that, it does kind of seem like a team that gets off to a good start might have, like, I'll use the term ego in a positive way. Their ego might be inflated, and just those types of things. Momentum and success breeds more success, no?
Yeah, Adam, I think college football is going to become much, much more like the National Football League. I think over half the games in that league are a touchdown or less. If you watch an NFL Red Zone on a Sunday, every game's coming down to the last 2 minutes. And we're in an era now where the talent is distributed so much more evenly across the country in a way that it wasn't even 5 years ago, which is a lot of words to basically say everybody can play. And so the games are going to be close. What you look at on paper and you say, win, toss up, tough one, win.
Right.
You can forget about all that. I think every year there'll be a team ranked in the top 10 that doesn't finish ranked, and I think every year there'll be a team not ranked that ends up in the playoffs. I just think that's going to be the new normal because our metrics we still watch the sport through old eyes,
right?
And the sport has changed. It's just not going to be that same way.
Manny Diaz is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. All right, since you brought up a national picture, I wanted to get your take on a couple of things, because I was looking at your schedule. Illinois, who is preseason top 15, I believe, and you know how good Tulane is, and they are talked about as being one of those teams that could surprise from the group of five. You're going down to New Orleans to play that game. What is your scheduling philosophy? Because there are teams in other leagues that just schedule wins outside of their league, and that works for them. So what is your personal scheduling philosophy?
Well, first of all, college football scheduling is done so usually far in advance.
Right.
I think we're booked until like 2045, which at that point with conference realignment, I think we'll be like in the NFC North. So it's kind of hard to say. I enjoy playing a game like we had with Illinois this year. I think, playing a team, I think it's important for college football to have, cross-conference matchups. And if we can fix the playoff to encourage people to play in more of those games instead of just trying to collect wins, I think you will see people schedule accordingly. You just have to give the incentive in the right place, right? If we simply say 9 is better than 8 and 10 is better than 9, well, then, yeah, to me, you want to schedule 9 mannequins to play during the course of the year to try to collect wins. If we're going to say, if you look at college basketball, I mean, look at what we've done in our non-conference scheduling in basketball. We're damn near playing the Western Conference in the NBA, but in basketball, that helps you.
Yeah.
Right. That helps your, whatever RPI, whatever they call that rating. And football, we're not there yet for whatever reason. Which doesn't really make a lot of sense, but there's a lot of things about our sport that don't make a ton of sense. So, I think to answer your question, philosophically, that's going to depend on where the incentive lies.
Right.
So I'm happy we've got these, high-profile non-conference games. Again, 2 of the teams you mentioned are potential playoff teams, and so you want to go toe-to-toe with them and see where you stand.
What is fix the playoff? You said fix the playoff. Until we fix the playoff, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I've come to the side of increasing access. The conference, because we're limited by conference scheduling. And because these conferences are now so super bloated where everybody can't play everybody, you can have 2 teams and not have a common opponent within the same league. I think having conference play-ins, which would expand the field, I think the final answer is going to be somewhere closer to that, whether you're in a situation where, 6 plays 3 and 4 plays 5, for a league that gets 4 teams in. If you have a team where 3, teams get in, same thing, you can have a play-in game. The more teams that have something to play for in November is going to create better content. And look, Adam, the one thing that's always been true, playoffs always get bigger. They don't get smaller. And the people who are paying for all this, right? Yeah. You keep hearing about all these changes. It's the TV people. They're paying for it. And they're paying for good content. And going back to even out-of-conference games, right? They want good content in out-of-conference games. And so some of these games that we've seen in the past where super lopsided games in September, that makes for bad television. And again, follow the NFL, right? The NFL is as good a run a league as there is anywhere on the planet. the way that they've, grown that game, made more people get in the mix for playoffs, it only makes sense that the same things can happen in college football.
Yeah, and their playoff is getting bigger as well. So right up your alley might be the suggestion coming out of a Big Ten meeting where they're talking about 28 teams in the playoffs. Have we gone a little too far with 28?
Well, I think 1AA has been
24 now.
24.
Yeah.
24. Yeah. I mean, and never batted an eye. So it can happen. It's going to happen. Just the power struggle of who eventually, says uncle, will dictate that. And that's part of the issue about not having somebody in charge that can decide what's best for everybody, instead of, just kind of trying to worry about their own self-interest.
Yeah, their own self-interest, and also, and I just speak from somebody who's an observer, but what's good for football isn't necessarily what's good for any other sport. And I would say that what's good for football probably isn't good for every other sport. And that, so this is a big picture thing, and you feel free to sidestep it if you want, but do you think we're headed for a day where football is its own thing and every other sport just kind of reverts back?
Yeah, I think if I catch what you're saying by reverts back, I think possibly yes. Where if would non-revenue sports play a more regional schedule,
men's basketball.
Yeah, that's a different question entirely. But
right.
But look, yeah, here's what I do believe is that we do not have to do things the way they've always been done, right? And that's been the problem, right? And what we've always done is we've always put a Band-Aid on one mistake, you know what I mean, instead of just really try to dream it all up again. And that would be my vote, is just like, hey, listen, if we could just do it the best way possible to serve everybody's interests, what would that be? And just start there. And where we battle is we have different opinions on what would be the best way to do it. We don't have to come up with best. We just have to come up with better. And if we come up with better, and then we can make better, and then it'll be a little, still not great, and we can still make better, and then, look, it'll be pretty close to best. But we always get into arguments over what's the best. And look, there's too many people in play that will not give up because they think their idea is best. We just got to get better now, because everybody knows right now it's not as good as it could be.
Manny Diaz is joining us here. We haven't talked about really any of your players. I want to ask you about a couple real quick, and then I got one more thing for you before I let you go and start your Monday. The quarterback, Darian Mensah. I've made enough Mensah, he's so smart jokes. I'm not going to burden you with those. What do you like the most about what he is and what he can do for your team?
What I like the most is who he is. I like how he fits in with our locker room. Our guys have a ton of respect for him. He is, he has the same type of chip on his shoulder that Duke guys have. And so there's a great, offenses, generally speaking, take on the identity of their quarterback. And so I think they've really taken to him in that realm. On the field, certainly can make all the throws, but a quarterback that in this day and age that can extend plays with his feet, keep eyes open down the field, and still be accurate with the football. A lot of college quarterbacks, once you get them off the spot, their quarterback rating plummets, and from what we've seen so far, he is almost more dangerous in those situations. So it gives us an element to our offense that we didn't really have a year ago. Right. And in my mind, it's really hard to be great without that element at the pro or college level now.
All right, now let me ask you about your two defensive backs. Terry Moore, we'll just start with Terry Moore, the safety. Both these guys were getting not just ACC honors, national honors. I think Chandler Rivers is thought to be one of the best corners in the entire country. Talk to me about first Terry Moore.
Well, I'm going to say this. First of all, we really believe that this is going to be a much more of a common occurrence here at Duke. Historically in this defense, and the same thing will end up being true on offense here, but in this defense, this is the defense that creates all conference players, the defense that creates all American players. And when you have guys as talented as Terry or Chandler plugged in the system, there are guys who have there's a whole legacy of guys who have made plays doing what they're doing. And so both Terry and Chan are highly intelligent players. They have a great instinct and feel for the game. They're both highly competitive. And so, you get to see, hey, listen, when you take your skill set and put in this defensive scheme, this is what happens. And now we can continue to recruit to that and sort of bring in the next wave of guys that, want to be all Americans here at Duke. And they really believe that they can meet that dream here at Duke. So excited about those guys. Obviously, we won't have Terry for the beginning part of the season as he rehabs, but they're still great guys for our young players in our program to look up to and say, okay, hey, listen, I have a chance to be the next one, and if I do X, Y, and Z, I'll be an All-American here too.
Who's the nastiest guy in your defense?
The nastiest guy in our defense, I think, from a relentless standpoint, Nick Morris is a guy that comes up as our middle linebacker. He just never ever stops. I always say he's got like whatever like death metal from like the late 70s, early 80s. Like you know, in the he's got the green dot on his helmet, the coach to play, and I think after 15 seconds when Coach Packey comes off, I think it goes straight to like it's like Iron Maiden or Megadeth or Slayer or somebody like that. So and he plays as if that's the case.
Is that out of your playlist?
No, that's a little hard. Same era maybe, but that's a little bit on the extreme. That's a little harder than the bass drums and guitar that I prefer.
What are you listening to?
It's going to be more of your, Pearl Jam, U2, classic rock, Zeppelin, Stones, that type of deal.
I'm with you. All right, final thing. I just got this off of Wikipedia. I know you were at one point in our business until you decided coaching was better. I'm not arguing. Probably is. It certainly has worked out for you. So the last thing you did for ESPN was cut highlights for the '97 Masters. Is that true?
That was my last day at work. Yeah.
How was that? How hard was that to do?
Well, no, I mean that was all part of the job. That was just that was famous because that was Tiger's first win.
Right.
So that was just a hell of a day. So everyone knew it was my last day at work. So when you come in, when you first started ESPN, you work in highlights, and kind of how good you are is sort of based off of what game you get,
Right.
And they would try to give the better games to the more experienced PAs. And I hadn't been in highlights for a while because I was working on the NFL show.
Okay.
By my last year there, and so kind of my last day they stuck me in highlights, and so that was sort of the farewell tour. Hey, listen, you get Tigers. Walk around Augusta for your last day. So pretty cool memory.
Not bad at all. Manny Diaz, good luck. We'll talk to you again throughout the season. Appreciate your time. Elon coming up. Gosh, it's right around the corner, just in a week and a half. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Adam, thank you.
Coming up next, NFL football. Will Brinson joins us. We'll do that next on the Best of the Adam Gold Show.
Talking sports, so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
We are knocking on the door of the regular season for the Carolina Panthers, and there are still so many questions on the defensive depth chart. The depth, the second unit. What happens if someone gets hurt? For the Carolina Panthers defense is the type of question where the answers are harrowing. You don't want to see them. It's like the end of a horror movie. Just roll credits.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
It's bow time. Something new just dropped at Bojangles. Take the bold taste of a crispy golden chicken supreme that's been seasoned to perfection, then add dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, and a toasted bun that's great on the go. What do you get? You get a Bo's Bird Dog. In fact, you can grab 2 of them for $5. So when you're on the go, headed to practice, or need a snack, grab a Bo's Bird Dog. Hurry in before they're gone. Available for a limited time. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time, but sometimes it's go time. No time to stop, but the perfect time for a Bojangles Bird Dog. A seasoned to perfection Bojangles Chicken Supremes, dill pickles, and Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, all tucked inside a toasted bun. Great on the go. Try 2 Bird Dogs for just $5 or 2 Bird Dog combo for just $8.25. Available for limited time only. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
Looking for a big new game to play? Well, there's no game bigger than the new dino-sized Jurassic Park scratch-off from the North Carolina Education Lottery, which gives you a chance to win up to $200,000 instantly. And if that weren't enough, you can enter for a chance to win an exciting trip to beautiful Hawaii, where you could win up to $1 million. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Adventure awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 4.28. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today, 919-200-4000. That's 919-200-4000.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
JTV Jewelry Television knows you love to sparkle, so now's your time to shine like the star you are. Enter JTV's Shine Like a Star sweepstakes for your chance to win $5,000 in dazzling jewelry from top brands, including Rachel Zoe Jewelry and Judith Ripka Jewelry. Plus, just for entering, get $30 off your next qualifying JTV purchase of $99 or more when you opt in for emails. Enter now at jtv.com/likeastar. And remember, if you love jewelry, you'll love JTV.
Hey, it's Adam Gold on this Best of the Adam Gold Show. Let's talk to Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com, Pick Six podcast moderator, about the Panthers. But there's more to the NFL than just the Panthers. Here's Will. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com, my friend. He sorts the Sunday pile. All right, I was a little perturbed, I will say, that Dave Canales wouldn't put his starters out there for another series after 6 very unimpressive plays. And like, if the plan for me or for them was 10 to 12 plays, if they could get to that, then why not give them another series and see if you can get to 10 to 12? If the third series doesn't work, when you say, all right, we tried, let's move on. But he didn't do it. They wanted him to earn that third series, and they didn't. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I go back and forth on it sometimes with the preseason stuff where it's a little bit like of, I don't know if it's like confirming biases or like, getting to a preconceived conclusion, so to speak, where if you're not good, if you're rolling back out there after they haven't played well and they continue to play poorly, then all of a sudden you get a lot of like dust up about like what exactly this team is going to look like. And then, if Bryce and the offense look good as they did, the first game, all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe the ceiling is there. So yeah, I think more reps are good. And I genuinely tend to agree with you, but I also think if you're going to look bad and you're going to roll them out there for one more series and they're still going to look bad, you're probably like, there's a decent chance you end up in a worse situation by rolling them out there than you do, if they go out there and suddenly magically flip the switch. But sometimes you end up with a more aggressive defense that you're playing against, as you move along into the preseason, and you don't want to risk that injury, as we saw with Andy Dalton.
Two things that come to mind based on your answer. The second thing, I'll give you the second part first, which is, sometimes your guys just got to figure it out, right? During the regular season, Dave Canales isn't going to say, well, I didn't like that for 2 series, so let's get all the starters out and see what the backups can do. And I'm not saying that's what he was.
He did it last year with Bryce. So
well, he did, but he only did it with one position, right?
Right.
He left all the other starters in. He was mad at everybody. They missed the block. They missed an assignment here. Like, he didn't really single out Bryce Young, although he did talk about Jack Plummer throwing 2 interceptions. And he was mad about third downs, which overall I get. But at some point, you're going to have to let your guys just sort of figure it out. And I do believe that last year he was, I'll use the word terrified, that his team was so far behind where he thought they had to be that he didn't want to put them on the field. Like he was scared to put them on the field during live game action for fear of damaging their confidence.
Psyche.
He should shouldn't he be beyond that if that's the case now?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, you don't want to be in a position where if you're rolling your guys out for extra snaps and, it's like second week of the preseason, third week of the preseason, whatever, wherever it is, first week of the preseason even, that you're concerned that if they play poorly, that will damage their psyche. I do think you can make the case if you're out there and you're looking bad in a preseason game, where you got guys on the back end fighting for roster spots. The actual production and outcomes of the preseason games are inherently meaningless as it relates to what we see in the regular season on like 99% of the time. That, especially if you have a team that we talk about the upside or the downside of the Panthers season, part of that boils down to health too, right? And if you're out there playing sloppy and you're out there looking poor and you're getting dominated by, the opposing defense in a preseason game, I don't know, man. Like, pull the ripcord to get them out of there because you have so many spots with the Panthers where if you suffer a bad injury in the preseason, it can really derail that offense. Whether it's obviously Bryce Young, but then the offensive line, your wide receivers, like they have enough there where if everything, like when I said I think last week, the 11 win upside, it's like everybody's got to be 100% healthy almost the entire season, right? I mean, and that's one of those things where. Maybe it's not worth the risk to keep rolling them out there, especially if you're not getting anything meaningful from those snaps. But yeah, I mean, like the way the NFL has shifted things. You used to have this clear plan where nobody's playing week one. Play a couple series week two, maybe play like a quarter, a little bit more depending on where you are in your evolution as an offense in week three, and then week four everybody sits. They just changed the timeline so much. We have these inter-team, scrimmages and sort of basically, like soft games that they play in those spots. That these preseason games are really just kind of a little bit of pomp and circumstance.
Well, that is true, and they put so much more emphasis now on the joint practices. And Dave Canales said, we got a lot of good work in, which was Thursday, and then obviously it didn't translate to Friday. I got some pushback based on my Bryce Young take, but I'll leave that on the cutting room floor for now. We have 4 hold-ins, still around the league. Although I don't know how Cam Hayward is treating his situation with the Steelers, whether he's holding in or not. Trey Hendrickson in camp but not doing anything. Terry McLaurin in camp. Those two teams will play each other tonight. McLaurin is also not really doing anything. Micah Parsons and, of course, Cam Hayward. Are any of them close to a resolution as far as you could tell?
Yeah, I mean, the McLaurin thing, we had an interesting move over the weekend where he was sort of, I think they moved him to the active roster or whatever. And, I mean, basically it's, kind of perfunctory, though. Dan Quinn came out and said this is not a situation where we've made meaningful progress in the contract negotiations, so don't read too much into it. That one to me is one that is just like something's going to happen. It sort of reminds me a little bit of maybe the Brandon Ayuk deal without the trade rumors last year, where eventually it's going to get there. It's just both sides are going to take as long as they possibly can, and really to the detriment of the season, because you just end up losing those reps that are valuable for McLaurin and Jaden Daniels. But I think something there will get done. The Hendrickson thing is interesting because the Bengals are now sort of shopping him over the weekend. I think they're pretty stubborn in their frugality, right?
Yeah.
And, they may decide
frugality. Just say it. They're cheap.
Oh yeah, they're cheap. Yeah, Cincy cheap, baby. I just think they're in a position where, maybe they know that it's just like if this is not going to happen, like they're not going to pay what Trey Hendrickson wants. And, they're going to end up losing him anyway. They're better off getting some picks back in exchange. And I think the Panthers were even floated as a possible a team of interest for Hendrickson. The Parsons thing, again, they said they're not going to trade him. So, like, he's going to have to play. It's just a matter. It's like, how much do you want to pay this guy, Jerry? And do you want to deal with the franchise tags? Like, that's what it boils down to. And we've seen Jerry is willing to kind of push the limits or do a deal. He loves doing a deal right before the season, too, like a record market-setting, record-breaking deal right before the season. So that wouldn't be shocking, even though there's been some personal squabbles there. And, I mean, we look at the Myles Garrett deal. Like, he's like, I am not playing for Cleveland.
Right.
I only want to be a Super Bowl contender. They're like, what about $60 million? He's like, okay, you know what?
Love Cleveland.
Actually, I don't care who our quarterbacks are. And I know, like, there's no chance they're winning the Super Bowl, right? Hayward's thing, again, I just sort of think it's one of those where the Steelers will do right by him, because I think if they didn't do right by him and kind of figure out a way to adjust that contract and get him the money that he wants, then you end up in a position where, you've already gone out and gotten Rodgers. You've already gone out and paid T.J. Watt. You trade for DK Metcalf this offseason. You're going all in, and it's hard. And I think it's just a well-timed move by Cameron Hayward to say, all right, like, if you're all in, I'm pretty important. I'm an all-pro leader of the team. You may want to pay me. And so I think they'll do right by him, because the sort of locker room turmoil and strife that you bring by not doing that, especially somebody who's, will ultimately be in the franchise ring of honor, like that one's sort of a layup, I think.
And to be fair to Hayward here, I think I heard that he's like the 37th highest paid defensive lineman in the NFL. And he's obviously better than the 37th best. Yeah. And he's 37. So this is it.
Yeah.
Like, it's very possible that we are going to watch the final season of Cam Hayward, because I'm not sure.
If you're Cameron Hayward, we talk about Terry McLaurin getting that bite of the apple, and like when you have to get the bites. Like, I mean, the thing is about nibbled down to the end. If you're Cameron Hayward, like, if you want to get some guaranteed cash in your deal, now is the time to do it. I would think probably plays 2 more seasons. It's a tough position to play into that age range. But he wanted more money last year, got, figured out something, but wasn't paid at the level that he played at last year. And so I would guess that there was probably some understanding, like, all right, we're going to figure something out now. You play great. Come back next season, we'll figure something out. And that's sort of where they're at. I mean, they're going to want the best out of him. They're going to want him, focused on, like, they don't want him, threatening to skip games, which he might be willing to do, because he is of that age, and he is perfectly well compensated for, like, the entirety of his career. Like, he's not, if he has to miss that game check and really put pressure on the Steelers, I think that's probably more of a possibility than the other guys we're talking about.
Real quick, one quick thing about McLaurin, and then I want to ask you about a rookie that certainly is opening eyes. And people are interested because their fantasy drafts are probably coming up. The Washington has really no choice. They got to figure out McLaurin, right? They're not a playoff team without Terry McLaurin.
I mean, they could be. It's just like you just really, you take away your top receiver, you thin out. When you have a young quarterback who's on a rookie deal, who literally cannot renegotiate until after next season,
right?
Just because of the way that the CBA works, and you have an older veteran receiver who played the best football of his career in the first year with the young quarterback. Like, you've got the money to manipulate around, and you have this, you're trying to get a new stadium built. You have a fan base that's re-engaged after so many years under Dan Snyder. They will figure something out with Terry McLaurin. It's just, like we've talked about before, slotting it. Like, you can't give him Jamar Chase money, and he has to know that. You can't give him Justin Jefferson money, but you have to give him more than what he's got. And so the readjustment into, like, where that sort of, both sides trying to compromise and get to the appropriate level. Terry McLaurin, it's just, they have a valuation on him. He wants more. It's like, who's gonna blink first? And I would think that the Commanders probably end up just figuring out a way to get it done and get him in a reasonable range. Look, and there's ways you can do it, right? Like, toss in more incentives. Give him a higher annual value so he feels like he's in that range where he's respected, but it's not as fully guaranteed. That's just, those are the compromises that they have to make. And it's part of the problem with NFL contracts is, you can have this deal for an X amount per year that you're trying to get to, but it's like, is it really that big of a deal? Like, you know, or like, what's the guaranteed numbers in there? And so it's just the nuanced way we looked at those contracts.
Yes, you and I could have a conversation about the NFL Players Association, which is a dumpster fire at this point.
Trash fire.
Unbelievable. We don't have enough time to get into that. So I will just ask you this. Is Ashton Genty going to lead the NFL in rushing this year?
I don't know that's
assuming
like,
health, of course.
I wouldn't be entirely stunned if it happened because he's just that type of player. He's on a Pete Carroll team that's going to run the football a bunch. The one issue I think is probably that the Raiders defense, unless Pete Carroll coaches them up like beyond what we think they have in terms of talent, and that's possible. We've seen him do it. I don't think that defense is going to be good enough to allow the Raiders to run like when we saw Zeke Elliott do it with the Cowboys. You know, they had an offense that was explosive. They had a defense that was strong. They were able to get leads and feed Zeke the ball. And so, like, I just don't know that the Raiders will be there. And there's the challengers that he's got to deal with. You know, whether it's like if CMC is healthy, obviously he's a huge problem. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, like there's a lot of really good running backs on really good teams. And so that would be my holdup. But I think Genty is going to have a monster first year, and definitely think everyone in my fantasy league should pass on him in the first round.
Where do you pick in the first round? Have you already done the draft order?
No, I believe Blaine Smith asked me to randomize it this morning. So Blaine, I'll get right on that, buddy.
You're the man. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBS Sports. I will talk to you very soon. We'll do it again next Monday, I think.
Yeah, man. Perfect.
Peace. When we come back, E.J. Hradek tells us why he loves Carolina Hurricanes defenseman Jacob Slavin. We love E.J. Hradek on this Best of the Adam Gold Show.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and here we go. August 26th, FanDuel Futures Day. Should be a holiday, and maybe it is for some people. It is for me. For football fans, it's also a holiday because it's 24 hours of deals on all your football season predictions. Take a flyer on that MVP, Bryce Young, plus 10,000. If you think the Panthers are going to be good, why not? How about who wins the Super Bowl? You know, the Chiefs are the fourth choice. That's right, the fourth choice. Broncos at plus 2,400 might be interesting. Anything you want, you've got it at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and a great app. Visit the FanDuel app today. Plan your futures bets now. There will be prizes. FanDuel, play your game. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, you're more than a policy. You're family. With offices in every county, we're close by when it matters most. Our local agents customize coverage to fit your life. And our award-winning claims team delivers fast, quality repairs. It's no surprise Forbes ranked us the #1 auto insurer in America. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. We're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Healthy People, Healthy Carolinas, a powerful initiative from the Duke Endowment that supports community-based coalitions working together to improve health. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, Jordan Fry of Healthy Together Cleveland tells us how HPHC is making a difference in her county.
It means everybody's at the table. Healthcare providers like Atrium Health, the county's health department, our food pantries, our school systems, colleges, cooperative extension, farmers markets, but most importantly, our residents. Everybody has a role to play, and Healthy Together Cleveland acts as the connector.
Learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Did you know? Atlantic hurricane season runs through November. From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
My name is Andrew Dotson. I'm a peer support specialist here at Phoenix Counseling Center. As a young man, 18 years old, I joined the military, went to Afghanistan in 2012, went through some hard situations, saw some things that were traumatizing. There's a number that I memorized, 105. That's the room number right around the corner. Room 105 was where I stayed last time I was a patient here, right before I got ready to really get sober. The first step in recovery is walking through the door and saying I need help.
Visit ncdhhs.gov/crisis services.
You can be a wildlife hero. Did you know that visiting North Carolina Zoo and Botanical Gardens in Asheboro supports efforts to protect wildlife and wild places? The North Carolina Zoo is a global leader in wildlife conservation, working to save endangered species of both plants and animals, such as elephants, red wolves, and gorillas. Plan a family-friendly day trip to the North Carolina Zoo to learn how you can join the mission to save endangered species from extinction. Learn more at nczoo.org.
Welcome back to the Best of the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Jacob Slavin wowed the world at the Four Nations face-off. He'll do so again in the Winter Olympic Games coming up in February. EJ Hradek, NHL Network, loves him some Jacob Slavin, and we love some EJ Hradek. The man who is prominent on NHL Network, host NHL Now, my friend EJ Hradek, joins us on the Adam Gold Show. Honestly, I've just missed you, and I've wanted to talk with you, so I figured I'll just reach out.
Well, it's good timing because I heard the little intro there, and, I had, when I was younger, I was trying to get a scholarship, cornhole scholarship, but it's they're very, like the NCAA was very tight back in the day with those things, and very difficult to come across, but...
We're not that far from, I think, cornhole becoming an NCAA recognized sport, and there will be scholarships available, so you can always go back to school.
Pillow fighting, yes.
I think that's in the Olympics. I think pillow fighting is going to the Olympics. It'll be a judged event. So let's just start with defense, EJ, because I know you guys, and I've seen the segment that you did on Jacob Slavin, and I don't know where you personally ranked Jacob Slavin. I would have put him a little bit higher than 8th on the list, but I think, and you said it, the Four Nations face-off opened a lot of people's eyes to what we see on a night-in, night-out basis, where Slavin controls the game with his skating and his stick work to absolutely erase scoring chances. It was a masterclass during Four Nations.
Yeah, listen, I watch the whole league, so I see these things, and I always laugh when, I go back to years ago when Scott Niedermayer went to Anaheim, and, I had seen Scott Niedermayer because he's been multiple cup champions. Right. I'd been with the Devils right in my backyard, and I got to know him, and, and he was an interesting guy for me because when I first saw him, I had been scouting, was prior to going to ESPN. And, I was learning, the scouting and learning, watching and identifying, different traits in players. And, he wasn't a guy that, would bang his stick after a play. He just wasn't outwardly emotional. And one of the veteran guys reminded me, it's like, hey, still waters run deep. And Scott Niedermayer is a real competitor because I was wondering, is this guy, really into it or not? And, in the end, he was. And I knew how good a player he was. So he went to Anaheim, and, people out west who didn't really watch him as much were like, boy, this Scott Niedermayer is excellent. I'm like, yeah, he really is. He really is. And the same Jacob Slavin, you guys just see it night after night after night. He's a terrific player. He's one of the very best defensemen in the league. And so, for me, it's not new. But,
right.
Who got to watch him on a bigger stage? Because, the Hurricanes have been a really good team, but they haven't gotten to the final.
Right.
They haven't won the Cup. And in their appearances in the Eastern Conference Final, let's say it hasn't gone well. Right? So, You know,
Yes.
So, like, those are the moments when people would be seeing him generally. Now they saw him in the Four Nations and obviously very, very impressed. And then, you know, it'll be more of the same, I'm sure, in the Olympics.
And by the way, AJ Hradek is from the NHL Network is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. You were correct in that the games where Carolina has played Edmonton during the regular season, in the Connor McDavid and Jacob Slavin era, and those eras basically run adjacent to each other, that McDavid's numbers against Carolina, although I think he did fairly well this year, but McDavid's numbers against Carolina have not been anything close to what they are against everybody else. And that is Jacob Slavin's matchup, 10 times in a row. Always. It's always going to be Slavin, and whoever the partner is. In the last 3 years, it's been Brent Burns. The years before that, one it was Tony DeAngelo. That was, Jacob had a great year that year too. And then before that, it was Dougie Hamilton. Before you go all the way back, and it was a lot of times Brett Pesce. But he gets those matchups, the toughest matchup every single night, and he just goes out, does his job, and goes to, and comes back the next day. And he calls no attention to himself at all. And that's probably to his own detriment. But I saw the list. If you don't have a lot of points, it's hard to get high on that list. When do we stop that?
Well, I think that, let's go through some of the names. I'll be honest, for full transparency, I do not vote on the list.
Oh, you don't have a
It's
vote?
A lot of the research people, I could have a vote if I wanted to vote.
Okay.
I prefer not to, because I'm not a big lists guy.
Okay.
Because, what we're just going to endeavor now is a conversation. It's a matter of opinion. It's a matter of what we prefer, right? These guys are all great players, right, that we're talking about. They're all really and they have different strengths and weaknesses. Some have very few weaknesses, really. But, at the top we have Cale Makar, who in the end, and I said it on the show, in the end, may be the best defenseman ever to play.
Yes.
Just based on his now, is he the best defender? Probably not. But was Bobby Orr the best defender? I don't know. Let's go back and look at the highlights from 60 years ago. But, he had the puck all the time, right? The things that Cale Makar can do, I've been watching the game a long time. Very few guys can do that, the things he does. And, and then Quinn Hughes, the same thing. I watch the Canucks a lot. The guy has the puck all the time, and people say, well, he's small. He defends really well with his stick.
Yep.
He is a very dogged defender. He defends better than you think. And so you go through these list of, guys we had maybe in front, and that's the, consensus, because I'm sure some guys had Slavin higher even. He's a really terrific player. I think if you ask, would you rather have Makar or who would you rather have, I think most people are going to say Makar.
Everybody should.
And I think most people will probably say Quinn Hughes just because he drives a lot of the play, because he has the puck all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers with Quinn Hughes with the Canucks, with him on the ice and with him not on the ice, are kind of mind-boggling when you look at them, the difference that it makes. And so, you go through these guys. At the end of the day, I always say, you do a draft, you take this guy, I take this guy. If I end up with Jacob Slavin, I'm really happy. He's really, really good. That's why I don't love these lists, because it's really a fine line that we are trying to cut. And they are different players, and it depends how you want to structure your team and the things that are important to you and who are the other players on your team. So, he's one of the very best defenders in the league. And you know what? When you're trying to win the game late, and in those situations where you're trying to shut somebody down, or you're playing against a McDavid, where you need somebody that can match his speed in the neutral zone and has such a good long stick, you want Jacob Slavin out there.
Yeah.
So they're all different. Situations are all different. Teams are all different. But he's a great player. And I'm just really glad that through the Four Nations, people were paying a little bit more attention on the bigger, on the more national scale. I think the people who watch hockey obviously know what he's about, but it's good that other people got to see him, and they're going to, like I say, they're going to see him again at the Olympics. And, those Connor McDavid games, I mean, I can't watch every game all year long, right? It's just impossible for anybody. But those stand out to me because I remember, and this goes back a couple of years now, several years, to your point, right, that they've been in the league a while.
Yeah.
I look forward to watching those games because that was a great matchup.
Yeah, and that carried over to Four Nations where you saw Slavin against McDavid, Slavin against McKinnon, and McKinnon scored a lot of offense, but none of it came against Slavin. It was all against different matchups. E.J. Hradek joining us here on the Adam Gold Show from NHL Network. We don't have a ton of time left, but let me get to a couple of quick things. I know there were some friends of mine that were upset that Seth Jarvis didn't make top 20 wingers. I was not, because when I did my own list, and we have a mole here who used to work at NHL Network, my friend Ben, you know him very well, who alerted me to this, and he was surprised that Seth wasn't in it. When I made my own list, I'm like, yeah, I guess Seth could be, but I had him just outside. I wasn't crazy about Alexander Ovechkin, but that's another story altogether. But I think Seth, if Seth can put up another season like he did this year, just get off to a little bit better start offensively, Seth's going to be, at the very least, in the top 20 winger list, unless he's not playing center full-time next year, which I guess is a possibility. But maybe he'll make the top 20 center list. Your thoughts on Jarvis?
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, he's a really good player. I'd have to go through all, you go through all the wingers, and it's, that's a tricky one, who plays right wing, who plays left wing, who plays, sometimes plays center and then shows up on the wing, right? So those are, all different things. And again, it's, what do you like? What are the things that, that you value as someone who's participating and voting on these things? But he's a really good player, and he's a guy just off the top of my head, without sitting here with a pad and paper and rifling through wingers. I would say where you had him is probably about right. Just maybe on the outside, or if somebody had him at 19 or 20, I can understand that as well. That's kind of where I feel he is, just anecdotally right now off the top. But I think there's certainly room for growth.
Yeah.
For Seth, he's a young guy, and he shows up in important games, which is a good sign. So, I think there's definitely room, and you're right. I mean, who knows? Maybe he gets moved into the middle, maybe because he wants to be there, or maybe just because they need him there.
Yeah.
So, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. I mean, it's the endless search for a second center in Carolina, right? So, I mean, if he could play the position and be effective and be a good player there, I mean, with Aho as a left shot and Jarvis as a right shot, that might be a really good way to go. But it depends. Guys are on the wing for a reason. It's because it's not like any coaches that had them before said, oh, boy, let's just put them on the wing. All these guys get tried when they're younger at, most likely at center, because they're obviously terrifically talented players, and some guys just fit better on the wing.
E.J. Hradek, before we let you go, when does the centers, top 20 centers segment air?
That's a good question, because I'm not really sure. I know we'll do the top. I think we do the top 50 players is what we've done in the past.
Right.
And now this year we just did the quarterfinal roster, or the quarter century roster.
Uh-huh.
Which I thought Ben's compadre Lawrence Goldstein, who is one of our stats research wizards and just a great person and puts in so much time and everything. He had a great idea for that, because a lot of people have taken a crack at these quarter century teams, and it gets tricky in the early, because you have these crossover players that played, Mario Lemieux played into the 2000s, right? So, and the way we settled that was that Lawrence came up with the idea of just only having players that started, their whole careers had to have been played inside of that 25 years.
Gotcha.
So like Nick Lidstrom could not be part of that, right?
Right.
Zdeno Chara could not be part of it, but it allowed us to do that team, and I thought that was an interesting show. I watched some of that, and I did not participate in that. And then also they're doing the top 25 under 25. And that's another, I would imagine, I think Seth Jarvis would be a good candidate for that show. So we've done some other things this year, which I think are interesting. And, these things are all good for fodder for debate, as we have just demonstrated over the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, we can do top 25 players named Jarvis or top 25 players named Seth, and he'll figure prominently in both lists.
I would think he would be probably number one.
Seth Jones would like a word. EJ
Hey, I got to just say one thing quick.
Sure.
Seth Jones, when it comes to that defense list, very interesting that the whole feeling about Seth Jones has changed dramatically, right? Because he went to Florida, he played really well, he had a better team around him. So, these lists, sometimes a lot of it depends where you are, because Jacob Slade was a great player, but if you put him on the Blackhawks last year, I don't know how much it would have mattered. Right?
That is very true.
Anyway.
That is very true. All right, EJ. Because I know I'm going to miss you more, I'll call you again very soon.
All right, I look forward to it, and I am back out there on the cornhole circuit, so I'll see you at some point.
All right, watch out. Watch out for EJ Hradek with the beanbags. He is the man. Thank you very much, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, buddy. You got it.
Thanks to EJ Hradek, Manny Diaz, Will Brinson, Danny Canel, Wes Durham, Chip Patterson, and Bubba Cunningham. Thanks to you. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks to Rusty, who makes all of the magic happen. See everybody tomorrow on the Best of the Adam Gold Show, although it won't be a best of tomorrow. Bye.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here for my friends at X Golf in Cary. Date night blahs, you were thinking about dinner and a movie? Nah. X Golf, great atmosphere, superb bar menu, incredible staff, a really cool vibe, and the best golf simulator in North Carolina. Take date night to a whole new level. And on top of that, I'm going to hook you up. Buy one, get one free special. Just mention me, Gold. I'll turn your 1 hour into